Hi, I'm Jeremiah Byrne, and I come to Cisco through the SourceFire acquisition. At SourceFire, I was very fortunate, and it still am, to lead the brilliant engineers that manage the technical relationships with our most strategic partners. And I'm pleased today to be able to offer you the latest update, the latest installment to our next generation IPS training. After spending 20 years in the field working with IPSs, I think this is a very exciting time being able to bring next generation IPS into the Cisco fold and into the family, and finding new ways to integrate the technology to help people secure their networks more effectively. I want you to know that this course is designed around the sales motion. So think of this as a tool that you can go to, a reference that you can work through as you engage in opportunities. It's broken up according to positioning, demonstrating, architecting, and running an evaluation should you need to go there. It's meant for you to pick the modules you might need right before you go into a meeting so you can learn the system as you go through an actual opportunity. This is pre-sales training for pre-sales engineers. And we found that if you follow this training, you're about 4 times more likely to find opportunities and significantly more likely to actually set them up for success in closing those deals. In this brief introduction, I want you to understand NG-IPS, Firesight, and AMP, and what happened to the SourceFire NGFW. I want you to know which module to select if you're looking for specific information. As I'd mentioned, I want you to be able to use this as you're going through sales, your first initial sales, and you're learning those sales. Of course, not being exhaustive, we do expect you'll want to gain additional technical training afterwards, as well as working with some of the veteran SEs in the field to learn how to better go to market. In Module 2, our product team will explain to you how to identify legitimate opportunities and how to position NG-IPS for the win. They'll also give you a great overall understanding of the product scope. You'll learn that the NG, or next generation, and next generation intrusion prevention system is all about adding visibility so that the IPS can automatically adapt to a changing network. And that's the key, is the automated intelligence based on the IPS's own awareness of how the network is changing. And that's really what makes what's the next generation, or the Gartner defined next generation and next generation IPS. You'll learn that Firesight is the secret sauce. It's the technology that gives us the visibility that makes the IPS smarter. So the IPS can protect threats based on the vulnerability posture it knows that it is exposed in your network. It gives you exposure to flows, users, hosts, and many other aspects of the network in real time. You'll also learn that our advanced malware protection technologies take deep packet inspection to a whole other level. So we're not just looking at exploits within a service or a client or the traditional things that an IPS might look for, but now we're actually looking into files. We're extracting files from the stream to understand their disposition, and we're looking across multiple protocols. But I'm not going to unpack that now. I'm going to let our product management team take the first shot at it, and then you'll hear from some of our engineers a little later, giving you more information on those capabilities. The other thing that's important to know is that because we've added the AMP technology to the IPS, you have retrospective capability. So you're not just dealing with zero-day threats now and identifying those things, but we have the ability to go back and let you know if we've missed things in time. And that's an important case. And you'll learn a little bit more about what retrospective security is in the training. And finally, you'll learn that the SourceFire NGFW is just an easier way to say next generation IPS plus app control. And of course, we've got other standard firewall types of features that make us a great fit for parts of the network, and you'll learn more about that as well. In Module 3, you're going to learn about next generation IPS and the top competitors to our NG-IPS. And we want you to focus on how to position the strengths of our IPS and shape the conversation toward your win. We're going to focus less on the weaknesses of the competitors and more about the strengths, and really more about the way we believe is the best way to do intrusion prevention. And I think if a customer understands that, and then it's going to be pretty obvious who the best IPS is to put in their network. Next, just as great artists master those before them, we're asking you to master this basic demonstration. So Module 4, we have a demo that we've asked all of the Cisco SEs to learn. And we're not asking you to get it verbatim and have it down rote, but we want you to understand the flow and the structure of the demo, because we have found that if you learn this as your baseline demo, one, if you're caught in a pinch and asked to give a demo, for example, at a trade show, you'll have one. It'll be ready to go. It's also structured in a way that it makes a great qualifying tool. It helps to create the conversation with the prospective buyer or the interested party, right? They just want to know what is this SourceFire next generation IPS all about. And it also helps you get a consistent flow so that when you're working with other parts of say, marketing or sales, or other engineers might come give demos before or after you, there's a consistent and clear message. So we never confuse the customer about what our technologies can do and the value that it brings to them. In Module 5, we're going to do a deep dive into specific features. Those features are really about allowing you to do a value demonstration. We want to show you the features that most directly map to typical business needs, right? Enable the business to do things more securely. And really, you'll also use these value cases when you go to do a proof of value, should you ever have to put gear on site. We'll cover that more in just a moment. In Module 6, we're going to introduce you to the management system. We're going to talk ports, we're going to talk protocols, processes, configurations, sizing. You're going to understand how our solution is managed, and we're going to understand the architecture of the overall management structure so that you can be sure to advise your customers wisely. Module 7, we'll dig into the firepower technology. So this is the platform piece, the hardware, as well as the software stack. You're going to understand how a packet flows through the box, where Snort comes in, right? Obviously, SourceFire's next generation IPS brought over to Cisco. The Snort came with it. That's a great technology that the most widely used intrusion protection system out there. We're going to give you, we're going to tell you how that fits into the scheme of things. We're going to give you rules of thumb on how to place, size, and scope to ensure the right balance between performance and price. And of course, we encourage you to take the more sophisticated and questionable designs to someone more experienced until you get there. This will not be exhaustive. I just want to make sure you understand that there are going to be rules of thumb that are in there that are very important, and they're going to work for about 80% of the cases. But sometimes this is more art than science. There are a lot of nuances that might drastically affect performance, and so it's good to work with those in the field who've actually have actually tried to deploy in these situations before and have learned a lot about what works and doesn't work. Next, in Module 8, we're going to show you how to apply proof of value. So you should have already taken the proof of value training that helps you understand unique business value as a qualifying and positioning technique in general, right? It's a great way to have a conversation with your customer. But we want to tie that all the way to the end of the deal, where you typically might, if a customer insists on having gear, we want you to have success. If you ship gear, we want you to win. And this process that we've designed, we've been using for about 4 years now. And I don't want to make any commitments about win rates, but I promise you, you're going to want to use this process. And we're going to show you the nuts and bolts. So it's not just going to be a business conversation and a process conversation. There will be a lot of that, but it's mostly going to tell you how to install gear, how to set it up, and how to hand the keys over to the customer, and of course create the risk reports that make great leave behinds. In Module 9, we're going to give you some additional tools that you might need that in case, for example, you encounter unusual installation circumstances, common troubleshooting tips, things that our engineers have run to in the field, and we just want you to be prepared for them. You may not memorize them all, but hopefully if you're working with the gear in the field, you'll remember, gee, I know I saw that somewhere, and at least you'll have an idea of what to look for or the questions to ask. Lastly, I'm going to ask you to take an assessment. Now, this assessment is for your benefit, so you can understand, did you get the material that you've learned here? And we're going to even try to let you know where you might need some additional work, where you can improve your skills. But it also helps us understand how effective this training is. We want to make sure that it's the best training out there to make you successful through the sales motion. And by taking that assessment, we're going to see where we might need to improve that training for your fellow engineers and possibly for the next time you take this track. So I don't want you to think that this training is the end of the road for next generation IPS. There are lots of other ways to learn about this. Labs, there's dCloud, we can get you virtual appliances to get your hands on the technology. And then there are also things that we advise our pre-sales engineers to do, such as sharpen the saw exercises, where you can get together with our engineers and our SE managers so that you can gain more experience and confidence when you're ready to speak to customers about next generation IPS from Cisco. And with that, I want to thank you for taking the time to learn this technology. I hope you enjoy the training. We would appreciate any feedback you have to offer. Bye now.